Hi, my name is David, and I try to play guitar. I'm not very good, as you can tell. One day, I saw a video of blues great Joe Bonamassa getting very technical about his guitar amplifiers. For a guitar player, that guy really knows his stuff about amps. He inspired me to learn more. But to really understand guitar amps, you need to take them apart and put them back together. I watched hundreds of videos. I read all kinds of books. From Craigslist and eBay, I bought a used soldering iron, some old voltmeters, an ancient oscilloscope, and other test gear. Eventually, I built an entire electronics lab. Now, I guess I'm sort of an amp mechanic. I fix other electronics too, and this is my journey. I figured I'd share so others can learn too. I hope you like it, and just as a disclaimer, be sure to consult an expert before working with electricity. Hey, Dave the Amp Mechanic, coming to you from my amp lab in Boston, Massachusetts. And today I'm going to use my skills here that I've developed in the lab, fixing amps and other things like that, to fix a busted iPhone, an iPhone with a busted screen. So if that is interesting to you, I went out and I got the kit on Amazon, $20 kit. If this is interesting to you, then stick around and you'll see me do my first cracked smartphone screen repair, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's the iPhone S with the badly cracked screen. I'll pull it up there, and it's hard to see the cracks. If I tilt it like that, you can probably see it. And the kit from Amazon. Move this out of the way. By the way, this is the rubber surface that I have on my amp lab work area desk. The desk is one of those old. I love doing everything vintage, so vintage gear for pretty much everything, even vintage oscilloscopes. And my desk is vintage. It's one of those old metal steamer desks from the 1960s. But the surface there's definitely some sort of metallic substance in the surface because magnets stick to it. And so I put these are those rubber mats that you can put on a floor. This is the bottom side. The other side has got a color on it. And I put this on the surface for two reasons. One, I really don't want the metal surface of the desk getting damaged or anything like that. But also, it's an extra safety measure to prevent some sort of circuit from being completed through the desk and shorting something out or hurting me. And that could probably be worthwhile in any situation to have a lot of rubber around. I'm wearing rubber sole shoes every time I'm down here in the lab. Anyway, this is one of those $20 screen replacement kits that you buy on Amazon for an iPhone S. You got to be careful to make sure you buy the right one. And they don't come with any instructions. They come with, some wipes. Here's the screen in a plastic casing, and here's a little bag of tools that will come in handy when taking these apart. So to figure out how to fix this, I've you have to look it up on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos out there on how to replace the screens on various iPhones. Again, this is the 4.7-inch screen from corner to corner, the iPhone S. And my gut tells me that the only thing that really needs to be replaced is the screen, that everything else is pretty much intact. So I only bought the $20 kit. You could buy more expensive kits that have other stuff, like all of the assembly that's on the back side of the screen. And in this case, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the screen off, and then on the back side of the screen there's quite a few components. We have to remove those components and then reattach those components to the new screen, then reattach the new screen to the phone. So I looked at a bunch of those videos online. Let's see what they've given us here in the tool kit. So that is a small Phillips head screwdriver. This looks like it could be some sort of like pry bar, and I saw in the videos you need something to pry things up. This is going to be I don't know if you can see that, get it up close, hard to see. It's a pentalobe, that's Pentolob driver. It's like a star-shaped screwdriver head, tiny one. So we'll probably have some pentalobe screws. And then little poker tool. This is probably just to remove a card or something like that. You know, you stick the little pin in the hole. Sometimes like you can remove the card, the LTE card or whatever it is that they put in there, you know, to authenticate the phone. And a suction cup. Oh, and look, a guitar pick. No, I'm guessing this is also to help pry the screen off. So set the tools aside here, and the first thing I'm supposed to do is remove those little pentalobe screws. So let's try that. And the pentalobe screws are right there. Get my finger out of the way. Right there and right there on either side of the charging port. I believe those are them. So let's see if I can get those out here. Tiny screws, very small, so we don't want to lose them. Doesn't seem to want to come out. There we go. Wow, that's a really small screw, easy to lose. So we're going to use this little envelope here. Okay, so that's the first step. Take these screws out. I'm sure the guys at the Apple Genius Bar can do this with one hand behind their back and their eyes closed, but not me. I've never done this before. So, but I figure, you know, why not? If you can fix amplifiers, this should be pretty much child's play to get this done. But then again, I really am not great at working with very small things, so we'll have to see. Okay, that's the first step done. So I'm going to take these screws. Actually, I save little old medicine jars for things, for screws and things like that. So let me pull one out here. And I'll use this one here. And can't even get them up. They're so small I can't grab them. There we go. Okay. Okay. First step complete, and let me figure out what the next step is, and then we'll go to that step. Okay, so the next thing we're supposed to do is pry the screen off, and this suction cup, the idea is you take this suction cup and you stick it on the screen, get some suction going, and then you put your finger in here and you kind of lift up with the suction applied to the screen, and then you get underneath the edge of the screen here to start prying it up. You could probably use this guitar pick thing, or use this in here. However, I do have a problem, which is because the screen is cracked so badly, as you can see, the suction cup's not getting any suction. There's too much, you need a seal for the suction cup to work, and I think the air is escaping through the cracks. Now, one other possibility is just that the screen is filthy. So I'm going to take, I'm going to unpack one of these wipes that came with the kit, and I'm going to clean the screen off with it. Well, okay. It's not very, the moisture is out of this. So, first problem, I'm going to use the moisture that's in the sponge from my soldering iron. So let's see what happens here. I can get this cleaned up a little bit. I think I'm going to need some other wipes or something other that's wet. Alright. I've gotten the dirt off, I think, or most of it. Now let's see what happens if I try to get a little suction here. Do I have suction? It doesn't seem to be enough suction. Doesn't seem to be enough suction here to pry it up. I must be doing something wrong. Let's see if we can get this up. I don't know if I can get under there or not. It's going to be tough. Sometimes you put some moisture on these things, and that makes it a little bit better. Let's see if I do a little bit of moisture on here. Try that. My next shot here, or my next attempt, if this doesn't work, oh, I think I see something here. There we go. Well, that's not going to be, this is not working out well, because it's happening, it's lifting the cracked glass, not the actual screen itself, which is not good. So, like, there's a piece of glass that just came right off there, and I don't think, I can't be certain, but I don't think that's what we're trying to get off here. I think what we're trying to get off is not only that level of the screen, but everything else that's that's underneath it. So I'm going to power down the camera for a second here and try to figure out what the plan is. Actually, let's just take a real quick look at the other screen here to see. This will give us some idea of what exactly we're trying to peel off. And yeah, so for sure what I'm getting off here, what's coming up with the suction cup are the pieces of broken screen and not the whole thing itself. Based on what I can see, it's hard for you to see that on the camera, I think, but I'm going to power down the camera and try to figure out what my next move is here. Alright, we're back, and I managed, as you can see, to get this guitar pick type little pry thing underneath the bezel, or the edge of the screen. I'm going to try to hold it up there and see if I'm not sure if the focus will get it real well. And the way I managed to do this is neither one of these little pry pieces, this one here or this one, was able to get under there. I took out one of my little screwdrivers that I use, for doing my electronics work, and I was able to get it. Was the screwdriver head was stiff enough that it wouldn't flex when I was trying to get it in there, and I was able to get it in there. But the challenge was, or the challenge is, that the screwdriver head is metal, whereas these things are plastic, and so I think I nicked the paint or the finish. This particular phone has this sort of pink finish to it. It just nicked it on the edge. It's barely noticeable, but part of probably doing this on an ongoing basis, you probably would want, I should say, better tools than the ones that they send you here for doing this work. So these plastic ones there's probably some other versions of this that work better and get under there. Also, I have to go all the way around here, and we'll just do that in a minute. But I suspect that one way to make it come off easier might be to use a heat gun, because there's adhesive that goes all the way around here, and if you heat it up a little bit, it probably will come up a little bit easier. So I might be plugging in my heat gun in a matter of seconds here. Anyway, now the trick is just to kind of continue to get this to come off. So let's see what we can do here. Now that little thing has got it lifted. Let's see how much more I can get off here. Here we go. And it's coming off. I don't want to... I see. I've got my hand... As you can see, I thought it was coming... here, let me see if we can spin around. I thought I was getting it off, but my hand is actually on the glass, and that's probably not where I want it, because it's a little dangerous. Here we go. Alright, so... can see the adhesive here. Alright, we definitely are making much better progress now. So let's get it. I think I could take this out here. And there we go. Don't know if that's supposed to come with it or not, but okay. Boom. It's just not going to be helpful moving forward, so we'll take that out here. Alright, so now that we've got it open like this, kind of like on a hinge, the video I was watching, and I'll link to that video for you in the notes, in the video notes here underneath. The video I was watching said that you have to leave it kind of in this hinged position and unscrew a bunch of screws, and I believe those screws were these two screws here, because the battery, the connection to the battery is underneath there. Although I'm not 100% certain why that's relevant to taking the screen off. And then these 5 screws right here. And one of the things that they said was you got to be super careful to put all the screws back in the same position that they started. So you have to remember where the screws go. So I think the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to shut the camera off because I'm holding this and I want to keep it in this upright position. Well, maybe I can just use one of my things here. Let's see if I can use one of these guys here. Let's kind of do this here. What? Okay. Let's move this out a little bit like that. Okay, so
I haven't gotten a reply from Al.
okay, as you can see, I've got the edge propped up here, and I've got 2 pieces of paper I've brought out here to put the screws on. And I'm actually going to move them a little out of the way. They might even be off camera because I'm going to keep this area open from my hands and I don't want to bump into it once I've set the screws down there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unscrew these 2 little screws right here. And whoops, that's the wrong one. And this piece of paper is for the battery screws, and this piece of paper is for these the screws that are holding down this plate right here. So let's go ahead and take that one out. These are some tiny screws. So that one's going to go there. And that one will go right there. Whoops. Okay, we're going to move that out of the way for now. And then we'll pick this thing up here. Here we go. I went like that, right? So I'll put that like that. I'm still not clear on why we need to undo the battery here, because the Doesn't seem like the screen's directly connected to it, but I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay, the next one we have to pull the screws out for is this one over here. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws. So I'm going to get in here and get these screws out. And it seems like they've magnetized the screwdriver a little bit, so that's good. Yep, this one's in the lower right hand corner. Top right hand corner. Now there's 2 screws in the left hand corner, so I gotta keep track of which one goes where. Oh no, I'm sorry, there's only 4 screws. That other screw was deceiving. There's only 4 here. And that screw wants to stay in the hole of this thing, so that's fine with me. Okay, so now we've got that out. And I'm just going to drag that over there out of the way. So now I've got my my screws out and arranged so I won't forget what holes they go into. And I believe the next thing we have to do is we have to very carefully lift these connectors up. And these connectors are the ones that are really sensitive. And it's not like your typical computer connector. So I'm going to stop the video here and then restart it while I take a look at how they did it. Okay, so basically the next step is there's 3 connectors here. There's one right here, and I think when we lift it up, when we lift that one up, it'll reveal another one, and then we take that one up, and then this 3rd one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and it says to use this tool to do it with. So let's see if that works. Not sure how to get under there. There we go. Okay, that's one connector up. Now I see the other one. That's 2. I think you can see them. So there's one right here, and then there's another one right underneath that. They make these pretty. It's all packed in there, isn't it? And then the 3rd one comes up. And at this point, you're supposed to separate the whole thing. I'm still not sure why we removed the battery shield, but I guess we'll figure that out eventually. Alright, so the old screen is off. I believe we can move this out of the phone, the main part of the phone out of the way. And now we've got the old screen here. And now let's see what we have here. We have the new screen here. And just examining the 2 next to each other, it's pretty clear that this piece is missing some hardware that this piece has. So for example, this bit over here, that's going to have to be installed right here. And over here you've got something covering up the fingerprint sensor, and that's not on this one. So, and you can see this little connector is exposed, and it's probably going to end up hidden underneath here. So we're going to have to remove this piece. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go back and look at the video, and then I'll come back to you with the next steps. Alright, the next step is we have to remove this metal shield, because this metal shield has to be moved over to this one. And the orientation of this has changed. Before I had the new one on the right and this on the left, and I also had the fingerprint sensors at the top. Now they're at the bottom. So we're going to have to remove the shield first, and so the first thing I'm going to do, and again I'm going to have to remember where the screws go, because that's going to be really important. So there's this screw here, there's 2 screws on the side, there's 1, 2, 3 more screws there, and there's also 1 screw here. And then the other thing you have to do, apparently, is there's a little bit of electrical insulation tape. There's a little piece of it right here that kind of goes down that way, and then this piece right here which goes down underneath here. And they tell you have to kind of you have to cut it with a knife. So because that is essentially holding the metal shield in place once you have the screws out. So let's go ahead and take those out. Take these screws out. Wrong tool again. Okay. That one is a little stubborn. Uh-oh. Houston, we have a little bit of a problem here. See if I can, one of my other smaller screwdrivers, we'll grab that one. This one's not budging. And this is always my big fear, which is you get into one of these things like this, and there's one thing that just doesn't want to cooperate. And that screw is very, very tight in there. It's not one to come out. Just out of curiosity, how tight are the other ones? Okay, well that one, tiny one came out. So, for some reason this one's being real stubborn, so I'm going to stop the camera and we'll figure something out here, and I'll come back to you. Alright, I managed to get it out. Here's the middle one there, and I dug up this little tiny tool that I have. It's got a little Phillips head on this side that was a little pointier and was able to grip that screw a little bit more. Little socket on this side. This is from a little eyeglass repair kit. So I was lucky and fortunate enough, but again, I think this speaks to having the right tools for this job, and I'm sure there's like a little set that you can buy that is really for working with screws and things of that, of this size, in a way that doesn't damage the screw head and ruin it altogether, is very more precisely engineered, that kind of thing. So now we have to get these other ones out. That one had a washer on it, and the video made no mention of the washer, and I know that's going to be really hard to put back on. So we'll see how that goes. Alright, now let's come around to this other side here. And now the screwdriver doesn't seem to be as magnetized as it was before. I think these screws are interchangeable, so it won't require saving their exact positions as like the other ones, but oh, now here we have the exact same problem, which is that middle one is super tight. So let me try this handy dandy little guy here. And that did it. See, now it's magnetized. I think I'm going to have to get like one of those magnets that you can just rub on your screwdrivers and magnetize them. That one's not working either, so let's try to start it with this one here. Yep, I got it. So this is very fortunate to have had this with me. I'm not sure what I would have done without it. I would have had to order the better screwdrivers and stuff like that. Alright. And then I believe there's one right here. We can zoom in a little bit. Give you a little bit of view of what's going on. Okay, so I've got all the screws out. I just want to kind of move this thing that I've got them laid out on in their order out of the way where I'm not going to bump into it. And the next thing that I'm supposed to do is cut the tape right here, so right in between there and then right in between here. So I'll get my blade out here. I think that did it, and I'll cut this one too. Alright, so theoretically this thing should come up now. This
this shield. Oh, the tape's not completely cut on that one side there. It's not cut on either side. Okay, so the blade is probably not sharp enough. Let me this blade might be a little bit sharper. Okay, let's try that one more time. Ta-da! Okay, so the shield is off. We'll put that out of the way. Okay, the next thing we do is we take out these two screws right here. This one and this one, covering the home button. And then we have to lift up the home button connector. So let's go ahead and do that next. Okay. And got to figure out where to set these down in a way that I don't lose track of them. I'm just going to steal another one of my little envelopes here for now and put that out there. So there's one. Two. And I almost dropped that screw somewhere. That would have sucked. Okay. Alright, I've got those screws set off to the side. And now the next thing we got to do is lift up the home button connector. And I'm just trying to see, I can barely see it here. I think it says to use a flathead screwdriver, so I'm going to find my little tiny flathead here. I think that's this one right here. No. Sure looks like it. Oh, it is. Okay. So I lifted up the home button connector, and I'm assuming what's going to happen next is the home button's going to come out. Because we need the home button. Okay, gotta be very careful. Gotta push the home button out. And then you have to very carefully lift this bit so it doesn't rip. There we go. Let's get that out of there. Whoops. Okay. So now we have our first part that we have to move over to the new, here to the new thing. Let's go ahead and do that. So this in here like that. And then this connector, got that all layered in there, right? And then so there's two little tiny tabs there that have to fit through these holes. I don't know if you can see them, but there's a little hole right here, and there's a corresponding one up here. We have to make sure that you get it onto that hole. There we go. And then we have to put the connector back on. Of course, it's not cooperating. Nope. Okay, so we got to fold this connector so it connects up again, and it's not working. It's going to take a little fiddling with, so I'm going to fiddle with it. I don't want to make you wait here, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, after some fiddling, I've managed to get it on there, and it's perfect. It's you had to kind of layer it in there, like you had to, that part of the home button sensor, that ribbon coming off, had to go a little bit under the connector and then bring the connector over it, and then it snapped right into place. So that was the confusing bit I didn't realize I had to get done there, was get it under there. So the next thing we're supposed to do is from the old screen here, we're supposed to take off the shield. This is like a magnetic shield that's covering the camera. So there's 3 screws here. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to take those screws off. I'm not going to waste your time with the screws coming out. And then after that, there's some work we have to do with ribbon cables and sensors and things like that underneath there. So we'll take it one step at a time. Okay, I've removed those screws around the magnetic shield behind the camera, and now I'm going to try to get the doesn't want to seem to come off here. There we go, and alright, so that's come apart. Let me see what happens next on the video, and I'll come back to you. Okay, here's where things start to go a little sideways. So in the video it says to move this, to take it off, to take the shield off, but the problem is it doesn't quite come off. In this construction and this phone, it's being restrained. There's almost like a little restraining cable, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's literally holding it in place, and I don't want to rip that. But what it says to do is then lift that up, and I guess it says remove the camera sensor. Okay, so camera sensor is out. Now I don't know how I'm supposed to recover this bit here, but I can't move it off to the side like they say without ripping these little restraining cables or whatever you want to call them That's the camera itself right there. I don't know if you can see the little lens, the little camera lens right there. So now that we've got at least this part done, let's see what it tells us to do next. Alright, the next thing it says to do is I have to kind of remove this, what the guy in the video calls a garland. It's all of these ribbon cables and this business here, all from the old screen. So I have to sort of dig this out a little bit. There we go. And I'm just using the screwdriver to hold that magnetic shield out of the way. Because I don't see any other way to get rid of it. All right, so still not seeing what's holding this in place here. This is definitely different, looking very different from what's in the video. Oh, wait a minute. They want this part right here. Don't want to rip that either. They make it look so easy. But I can tell you, I can promise you it's not. So there's a sensor here. I don't even see that little, this little shiny piece right here. And that has to come out with the rest of this. And I can't get it out right. I'm going to have to fiddle with it some more. I'm going to save you the trouble of watching me do that. But I have to be very, very careful not to rip anything here. So I'll be right back. Alright, with quite a bit of fiddling, I finally got that little tiny piece cleared and got what they call the garland out. They have a lot of stuff packed into a very tiny space here. It's amazing how they do that. There was some adhesive underneath there holding it in place. And I don't know if you can see like a little bit of that shiny material right there. That was the adhesive, and it just didn't want to come out. But I managed to get it out. So next step is probably to reattach this to the new piece over here. So I have a feeling, with the exception of this piece right here, the metal shield here, the exception of that, let me kind of get it over into the center of the camera here. The exception of this right here, which I have to figure out how to free, we're going to start reassembling. And so in order to do that, I'm going to turn this around. And now I have to put this garland back into place. And so this is probably where it really helps to, it probably helps to do it like right after you've pulled it apart, until you become, unless you're doing this all the time and you totally know how to do it. Because you want to remember where everything kind of went exactly, because of the way this is such a, everything's in such small quarters. So now I have to get everything back into place exactly as it was before. So there's the camera hole. Let me get this out. The old part out of the way. New part into view. And you can see the camera hole right there. So I have to get all of these things into place. And quite frankly, not exactly sure how that works, but let's go ahead and see if we can sort of go in reverse. So there is a little fitting here. There's a little through hole on this guy right here. I don't know if you can see it or not. And there's a matching peg that it goes through, a little post. So I'm not going to bother you with the close cut fitting of this into its back into its position, but I'll be back as soon as I have it done. Alright, I've managed to get it back together, and that rubber band like thing that was on the heat shield, I kind of wrapped it around here the way it was on the old one, and it seems to be okay. The one mistake I've already made, which hopefully won't prove to be fatal, is there were 3 screws holding down this magnetic shield, those little tiny screws, and one of them, I guess the magnetization on these screwdrivers isn't lasting very long. Anyway, I couldn't pick it up with the screwdriver and put it in the hole, so I was using my tweezers, and I was like, fiddling with the screw, and it just sprang out from the tweezers and flew. I've been crawling around on the floor for 10 minutes with my flashlight trying to find it. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I found quite a bit of old bits of solder down there, but didn't find the screw. However, I think we can get away without it. This thing is solid. It's in place. It's not moving at all. It's screwed. I have the screws on either side holding it down. So I am going to actually proceed, and hopefully this won't be a fatal mistake, without that screw. And we're going to see what happens. So I've got that in place, and my next objective, this is turning in one of those videos, see what goes horribly wrong when Daddy tries to fix his daughter's iPhone. Okay, the next thing it says is to flip around to the other side. Replace the home button connector, which I've already done, which is this guy right here, and then put the magnetic shield back into place over that whole business there. So, assuming that's this, like that. Okay. Okay, there was only 2 screws to begin with. It just has 3 screw holes, so it's a little misleading. There might probably this other third one in the top right-hand corner is the shield, the metal shield that goes on the back of this. There's the thing that secures it at that point goes through there. So now I'm going to get those other 2 screws that go with this guy here and put them into place. And I mean, they're so tiny I can't really work with them with my fingers. So hopefully it won't spring away again like I just. Whoop. Here we go. That's one in place. So put that one, screw that one in. Where's my Phillips? Here we go. Okay, that looks good. Still no magnetization there, so now we got to get this guy into place. I have to use my tweezers again. Again, you need the right tools for the right job. I would not have lost that one screw if I had properly magnetized screwdrivers. Try to push it into place. There we go. Kind of fell right into place there. And let's put that one down. Okay. Alright. Now the next thing we have to do is put the shield back into place. I believe that goes like this. Okay. So this goes, should have put this in the right place here. This goes over like that. Yeah. Okay, now we're in place. And so now the question is, we got to get each of our screws as they in the right pattern. Some of these screws have, you can see they have the Loctite on them to keep them from getting loose. See how that happens? I don't know if you saw that, but the screw just like popped right out of my tweezers. I've got to be really careful here. So hard to get them in position. Anyway, I got to put the screws in all the way around on the shield, so I'm not going to make you sit through that. I'll be back when that's done. Alrighty, I've got that shield on, and if you remember I mentioned earlier in the video, you know, there's like 7 screws around here, and one of them, when I pulled it off, which was the one up over here, and I think the camera is having a hard time focusing because my hand is trying to focus on my hand, but right there up over here there was a screw that went in sideways with a washer. Well, there's that washer on my fingertip. I could not for the life of me manipulate it onto the little screw, keep it on the little screw, put it in sideways with gravity working against me. I don't even know why they need this washer, but it's just another part that for now I'm going to do without, because I just could not for the life of me keep it on the screw and turn the screw sideways without it falling out, let alone keeping the screw nice and horizontal to get into the screw hole going that way. Little tiny parts. So much for that. This thing is secure. I'm not sure exactly why they needed that washer, or like if at some point they said, let's put a washer there. Like, why would you do that? Or who works on these phones and is able to get them into such all these little tiny parts into place. But now I'm going to go back to the video and find out what's next. But I feel like we're pretty close to the point at which the phone literally has to go back together. We have to probably put the ribbon connectors back on here, and then start to seal it up. Alrighty. So next we're gonna, as you can see, I've got this piece here. You can hear my dog barking upstairs. We've got this piece up here kind of propped up in a way that these cables, these ribbon cables, can reach their connectors on the main body of the phone. So the next thing I'm going to do is try to press those connectors into place. This is kind of a tricky thing to do, so let's see if I can get it done. There we go. It made like a noticeable click, and they said that that would happen. That one clicked in, I believe. So that's clicked in. And now They make it look so easy on the video. Okay. Well, those guys all seem to be in place. I'm still not sure why we removed the battery enclosure. That was kind of unusual. But hey, whatever. Now I believe we can put that one back on. So that one goes there. Let's go ahead and... So I'm going to put the battery enclosure back on, and I'm going to put the other shield, this other shield here, I'm going to drag it into view. That other shield there, which covered these ribbon cables, right? So now I got to get that into place, and then we start to close it back up. So let me screw those down for you, and then we'll look at it before I close it back up. Alrighty, so the big moment of truth is here. They say before you seal the phone back up all the way, to give it a test. So I'm gonna close this up just like that, a little bit, and then I'm gonna put the charger in. And I do see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there is a battery, very dim. Now it's gone. There's a protective cover on this. So let's see what happens if we try to power it up. I think the battery, there's a little red stripe on the battery here. You can barely see it. And it just went out. I'll press the button, it comes on again. I think it needs a little juice. I think that thing has to turn green or something to let me know that there's just a sufficient amount of power in the battery itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a few minutes to charge, and then I'm going to come back and we'll see if we have success. And if we have success, then we'll seal the whole thing back up, and we'll be back in business with what's almost like a new iPhone. Now this is the 6S. We're in 2020 now, where the iPhone 11 is out. So this is an old phone by most standards. Yeah, it's still charging. This is a very old phone by iPhone standards. So there's no telling whether or not this phone is really of any value or not. My daughter, when she broke the phone, she eventually got a new phone, and there was insurance on the phone. So we're basically trying to bring back to life a phone that hasn't been in use for a while. I literally purchased the kit to repair it like almost a year ago. So and it's just been one of those things in the queue here in the Amp Lab, waiting for repair. So let's give it a second to charge up, and once she's charged up, if it charges up, then we'll give it a whirl by trying to power it up on camera, and you'll be the first to see it, just like me. Alrighty. So it's been charging for a little while, and I'm just gonna, again, it's not together yet. The top is still off. I'm just going to power it up here, and we'll see what happens. I don't know if you can see that, but
There's a time and an image and everything. The screensaver came up briefly. So I guess that's a really good sign. I don't know. I'm an Android guy, so I'm going to have my daughter give a look at the phone and tell me whether or not it's actually working or not. But that was a really good sign. So we'll let it continue to charge. And the next thing I have to do is actually fit the case back together and put those two pentalobe screws back in the bottom. So I'm going to work on that and then I'll come back to you with some final thoughts. Okay, well, that's another repair here in the Amp Lab. Successful. Here's the phone, and as good as new. I mean, it's really functioning well. I'm really glad I was able to fix this phone. I showed it to my daughter, and she was like, wow, she can't believe it. Now she's got this phone is sort of a spare in case the other one breaks, or she can just use it on the Wi-Fi in the house, however she wants to use it. Quite a thrill to be able to fix one of these. The kit was $20, so a few parting thoughts on this. One, I'm going to try to invest in a better set of tools for doing this sort of work. Not the cheap ones that they send, because those tools just really don't cut it, and it's not worth it to take the chance when you're fixing this, of losing a screw. You want magnetized screwdrivers, things like that. Two, there's a couple screws that I lost. One screw that I lost. The other one, the washer wouldn't go on very easily, and so it's not 100% original, but it still seems to work without those. So I made some calculated gambles when I decided to leave those out. I think the most important thing is those videos that are out there on YouTube. First of all, they're great because they show you how to do it, but sometimes they're inaccurate, right? Like the one of those shields, when it came off, had some sort of like rubber band or something like that on it, some kind of thing to hold it in place, or didn't have that, and mine did have that. The guy who did the video didn't address that particular part. Didn't mention that washer, that tiny little washer, whether I could do without it or not. I think you have to take a couple gambles every now and then if you lose a part. I think I also might change the way my work area is set up so it's surrounded in a way that if a screw pops loose, it doesn't go flying somewhere. That's one thing to think about. And then ultimately, I think the other thing really to think about is you can buy the repair kits the way I bought mine, which was it was $20 kit. Now I went on Amazon just today, and they're about $25 or $26. I can't even find the $20 one anymore. But when you get the kit that I got was just the screen, right? So I had to remove all the parts, the camera and the speaker and the home button and all that. I had to remove those parts from the old screen and put them on the new screen, and then put the new screen back on the main assembly. And that kit was it's about $25. For $36, because I was looking on Amazon, you can actually buy that whole thing with the camera, with a new camera, a new home button, new speaker, all of those things for $36. And so the question is, I saved $11. Great, I saved $11, but the time it took me to get it figured out and to do this was fairly, a couple hours, 2-3 hours, working with little tiny parts, worried about losing them. Whereas if I just bought the $36 part, all I have to do is pull the old one off, right? Disconnect a couple connectors, right? So I did that, those three connectors that kind of overlap each other, and then just put the new one on because it has those three connectors, and snap back on and put the phone back together, and you're done. It's probably at most 10 minutes, right, to do the whole thing. And so the question is, what's your time worth? 3 hours, you save $10, or can you get this thing done in 10 minutes for $36, $37? So in hindsight, I would have spent the extra $10 and saved the time. Also, I figured out why I was supposed to remove the battery cover. There was a step I left out, which was that magnetic shield, or that shield that was over the battery. There was a step I left out, which was you're supposed to disconnect the battery, I think the reason for that is you don't want any power in the system while you're taking it apart. You don't want to get a shock or anything like that. This phone has been literally sitting here in my lab for like about 10 months, just waiting its turn to be repaired. It was dead to the world, so it didn't matter in my case, thankfully. But next time I'll try not to omit that one step. Anyway, if you like the video, please do give me a thumb up. Or give me a thumb down if I did a crappy job, because there were some mistakes I made. Also, feel free to subscribe. Again, I don't have enough visitors or subscribers to even make a dent I'm sorry, I don't have enough visitors or subscribers to monetize my videos in any way. I'm never going to make any money on these things. I just do them for fun and share what I've done so maybe somebody else can learn, particularly from my mistakes, but also from my successes. So I'm just trying to really pay it forward. But if you like my videos and you subscribe to them, then they'll move up in the search engine rankings, which is good, because if other people are looking for the same kind of video to help them do something, yeah, they might learn something from mine. So yeah, do me a favor, subscribe or like, or if you don't want to, that's fine too. Anyway, from my amp lab in Boston, Massachusetts, I'm Dave the Amp Mechanic. Eventually I'll come back with another amplifier repair. Today it was a smartphone repair. Thanks very much for joining me.